Sum boy, Tonai, Mitim boy, me boy, Tebe, me boy, Namloy, Gombroy, Gawai, Sheroy, Ziljamin, Tomnam Loy, Ziwa, me boy, Simjan, Tamji, Jen, boy, Chanju, Semboy, Namji, Yop, Pabe, Kansoy, Namgi, Jalboy, Yangin, Len, Debe, Tongjiren, Don, Hawaii, Namgi, Debe, Ishe, Badoy, Po boy samje mi chan boy sung nam brain da boy yang nian boy gu jian da yuan chou mi xian boy gu sung boy me ba de boy da ge ma ge boy zu da ge nie wra ma ge boy zu me boy da da ma de Dungan da le nam brain ro wa pung boy da le rab do nam brain ro wa kam nam da me dem boy je je nam dam De boy nam shin doi je boy yong so en dung wa en da le nam bra en do wa se ba le en do wa en cho le en gal I she yong so en zo ba en te ba en da ma jen ba da da dra en jung we san je jum den en nam ge I she la Yang yen len de ba la min ne ba yang da ba ni gen ta la en sim jen dam je la zik be sa la shu ba nen te da ne san je jum den de gen gu je we yun den yang da ba na en so tam be chen en tam ra en ge wa en par do en ge wa ra en tam ra en ge wa en ten sa mo en si do Ma de ba yin so en zok ba yin so en ta ba yin so en jang wa chom den de ge che lek bra song wa yang da ba tong wa ne me ti che ba me ba nyu ra en tom ba te tong wa la tin ye ba ke ba nam ge se se rang ge rik bra en ja chom den de ge sun wen chen dul wa lek bra en dem ba nge bra i jong wa en zo be chang chun don do ra en Mitim boy mi jen du ban dan den boy den boy you boy and you boy je boy and take boy chen boy gen den leg brush rig brush shu boy and tong brush shu boy and tum brush shu boy tal mo en ja we so en ju boy cha ja we so son nam je bal je shen yong so jang wa chim chim be ne so en jur boy kun do en jim be ne so en jur boy chen boy san jen jo doin so jen jo nam chang jo en bar doin dan nen en jen da ge jin so en je be son nam do la en ben je san jen do bra sho san jen jo doin so jen jo nam la chang jo en bar doin dan nen jab su da ge jin so en je be son nam jen do la en ben je san jen do bra sho san jen jo doin so jen jo nam Changjo en bardo en dan nen jabzo jen da ge jin so en jebe sonam. Dolo en penje san jen do brai sho sim jen dam jen dewan dan deve judan dembrai. Dungen gen judan davra en jujen dungen meben dewan damban damin davra en jujen yeren chadan yidan dave danyum jembo la nebra en juro en je sim jen dam jen dev Devin Judan, Dembrain Jujan, Dungan Dan, Dungelgen Judan, Davrain Jujan, Dungen Meben, Dewan, Damban, Dan Mindrawai, Nirin Chadan, Nidan, Davan, Danyum Jimbolan, Debrain Juroin Jes, Simjan Damjen, Dewan Dan, Devin Judan, Dembrain Jujan, Dungan Dan, Dungelgen. Dungan Meben, Dewan, Damban, Dan Mindrawai, Jujan, Nirin Chadan, Nidan. Tanyam Jimbo La Nebra Injuro Injin Chazal Wadan Chujin Shaban Dan Jizo Iran Kushin Sowa Gewa Jungsen Da Ge Jiza Ban Tamjin Zoben Jangju Chen Oi Sa Xie Bejin Juxie Medo Jam Rirab Lingshen Yide Jimba Sanje Shin Doi Migden Bovai Togen Namda Shin Lan Chebrai Shoi Simjan Namge Samba Loyen Chedra Chedra Wan Chujon Timoen Tekbayin Chuje Korloen Korando So
Good afternoon. I hope all of you are well rested. I hope all of you had something interesting to eat. Yes, it's all about eating, eating, eating. We don't realize that. Yes, food is the first thing, then clothing, and then chatter, talk, these are things we do, or it's part of our human condition. And so therefore we cannot avoid it, We can never say, I've been eating for the last 30 years or 40 years. Enough is enough, Yeah. Now here stops, Yeah, it cannot. Yeah. And so therefore it's strange. Whether it's religion or spirituality, if you say, materialism, on the other hand, whichever way we talk about, at the end it's about eating, how to eat spiritually, how to eat non-spiritually, we would like to think that we are sophisticated, The only dirty thing one can say is we don't eat each other, But otherwise, we are always trying to find some way to eat the rest, So, therefore, it's something to think about, as part of a meditation, as part of dhyana, yeah. And so therefore, we are once again here to discuss about dhyana, or samadhi in terms of as a representative or an ambassador of an extension of oneself, one could say. But flowing from the meritorious actions, when we talk about karma, the most famous thing we are constantly trying to talk about action, what we, as part of our observation, what we see, or what we hear, what we feel, what we taste, what we smell. And so therefore, there are, in terms of category, then there are things such as meritorious, demeritorious, and neutral actions. And so therefore, the category that samadhi belongs to begin with, probably one could say something that is meritorious, or mainly there, and then from there onwards to, I don't know, something neutral, I guess. But nevertheless, to distinguish very clear that it's the counterpart, of demeritorious. Yeah. And so, it's an interesting subject. So, what I will try to do today is run through the verses once again, so that yes, Cannot hear me? Oh, okay. I diligently wore it, okay, just so you know. Yeah. It's on? Okay. Okay. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. So I will try to read through so that the verses, but I never liked classes, you know. Although it's an art. It's an art. Especially if you have a wonderful teacher, then it's an art. But otherwise, to make it extremely academic and class-like atmosphere is something that I disliked a bit. You know? And so that's why I try not to go there. And so therefore you'll have to excuse me. But nevertheless, I will try to go through the root text here, there. So I will not go through an orderly fashion, but from time to time I will try. And so I will not read the English version. Instead, I will announce that I'm starting kind of from going backwards, starting from the fourth verse, you know, where it says, how come, or in a way, how fascinating in a way, that an impermanent being, that sounds strange, but nevertheless, an impermanent phenomena can sort of believe that one is, well, so to speak, feel that as if there is some substance, you know, basically the opposite of impermanence, that there is a permanency. And therefore, out of the delusion, then we can believe that I can own, I can extend myself into thinking that what is seemed to be appearing, you know, in front, as I said, action, karma. Here that things are transient, you know, when we have some form of, I don't know if I'm saying it the right way, equipoise or something, you know. What is equipoise? Nyamsha. Ah, yes. So therefore, I mean, we would like to think that we have equipoise, you know. I'm not trying to demean ourselves, you know. But theoretically, let's say we have that, then from that perspective, then we feel that no. To a certain degree, I understand. Theoretically, I can understand that, I don't know, as a scientist, as a doctor in this sense, in the art of medicine, in terms of if one is a farmer, for example, that I feel that I have, I can see it, because I heavily depend on time, season, heat, coolness, and so on, day, night, and so therefore, or day or shadow, daylight or shadow, or light or shadow. And so, through a certain degree, we know that things are transient, but nevertheless, habit overtakes, and so therefore, we believe that, okay, I, Atma, I'm here, you are there. And then from that point of view, then we begin to create all kinds of fantasies, And so therefore, it says we develop attachment. And it's nothing, you see, Shantideva is not saying that's wrong, But let's say, theoretically, we think through, From time to time, I did say that in the past. If you try to think through, at least this is the option we have when we are born as a human being. We have, since this is the only place where we can really exercise concept, exercise ideas. If you think through, whereas if you are born in the extreme ends of the world, extreme ends of the universe, such as what we say animals and celestial realms and so on, those are metaphorically meant metaphorically, as well as to a certain degree, one can almost say, in order to make it real, to say literally, So from those extreme ends, if one sees, or if one looks and observes, one can see that there is no ground to speak of in terms of to run through the scenario, to think through, whereas we can, And that's why it is such a wonderful world, this human world or human condition. And so if we think through, without actually having to go to the extreme ends, literally, yes. If we think through, which is part of the meditation, which is a part of the art of dhyana, then we can see that actually because since our idea of time is so strong, yes, then let's say I will live on even though there is no Atma to begin with, but let's say there is, as part of thinking through practice, let's say that there is, then through the theoretical idea of contemplation, then we can see how tiring it is, yes? How extremely tiring it is, because the last part of the verse says, Dukkha means in this case, beautiful, but beautiful in a sense more of, not objectively, but at the end of the day it's projection, yes? It's stemming from here, That's both vague as well as true, from here. I can say here, by literally using the index finger and say here. But if I don't, and if I just use the word, the sound, the noise here, it will still somehow make us think, And so from here, if you think, that let's say I'm here, you are there, I'm present or permanent, that there is an Atma, and then along with it, then what is the saying? In the image of the Maker, you know. So, like me, you know, can I find what I think is ideal? Thinking, thought process, noise, you know, speech, you know, and then finally, in literal sense, a mirror image, you know. Can I find? Of course I cannot find, if you really think through. The moment we have to look into the mirror every morning, we do not feel comfortable to look at that mirror, you know. Instead, we prefer to see something else. Yes, that's a natural, unaltered, I think. That's probably a blessing, I think. That's probably a miraculous thing, that we would naturally like to see something else. And it's not about, I cannot face my mirror, I cannot face my reflection, but it's a blessing, you know, that I want to see something else, you know. So therefore, for however long, in terms of time, however long I will live, no, I will not be happy with it. Let's say it's flowing from that common sense that I want to see something else, you know. But at the end of the day, if that habit still kicks in, and I want to force what I see in terms of that other, you know, at the end of the day, I want to see it the way I want to see it, you know. And so at the end of the day, I'm contradicting myself, and I want to see basically myself, you know, but I cannot face it, you know. I don't want to see it identical. I want to see it as others. Yet through that other, I want to be me, you know. I'm sorry I'm saying all these strange, redundant things in extremely colloquial way, but I hope you can understand, yes? And so therefore, for eons and eons, for life after life, will I be able to see what I want to see if I'm in this perspective? If I let myself be carried away by my habit? No. What Shantideva was saying is, I just cannot, just cannot. And so, even if I force myself, it will be boring, it will be a torture. But at the same time, then the next verse says, well, due to that, then if I just force myself, then what will happen is the very little fleeting yet beautiful awareness that I have, that will also disappear. And yet at the same time, in terms of, once again, meaning basically in short, whatever merit I have, whatever goodness I have, whatever space and time I have, whatever positive conditions I have, that will disappear. And at the same time, as long as we haven't abandoned this habit, you know, this very deceiving habit, then you will feel basically the feeling that we are all going through, which maybe we might be able to relate. Scrolling, you know. We just scroll through what is there on that digital book. Maybe next time, another one, tomorrow, tomorrow, tomorrow. And so therefore, like I said yesterday, another day, another minute, And these very, very subtle habits, if they go unchallenged, if you say a little bit boldly, or unchecked, then eventually it will amount, or it will aggregate, it will pile up to a certain degree that after some time we feel defeated, basically. Yeah, you will feel so defeated that you will feel there are too many letters to answer. There is too many accountancy, to go through, and so therefore we would like to restart, and the feeling of, I don't know, rebirth, the experience of rebirth will take place, and basically it's some form of suicide, actually. Yeah. By saying it's too much, and I want to reboot or restart. Of course, there may be, if merit would have it, or if you have enough merit, you might feel that, okay, I can start on a clean slate. From here onwards, I will organize everything and so on. But if the habit is not tackled, those habits are very subtle, very simple, And so, if you don't deal with it accordingly, meaning if it's subtle, deal it subtly, yes, appropriately, complementarily, then basically we will never be satisfied, no matter how many resets we do, We can literally commit suicide, we can, or theoretically we can say, forget yesterday and let's start anew, But nevertheless, we will never be satisfied, in short. Yeah. Never ever. Why? Because we haven't, we bulldozed, we bullied, we powered through, thinking that this subtle thing, it's so measly, I can just power through, I can use my might, I can use my history, I can use my heritage, I can use my lineage of this greatness, that greatness, and then try to sort of bulldoze it, But it doesn't work really like that. Yes, if there is a powerful foe, so to speak, then we are all romantics, yes. We like the idea that either it's an equal challenge, or we are to be more romantic, we are the minority. And so therefore we challenge the impossible, In that sense, it's invigorating, it's nice, But to think in a way that, these measly little things, I will overpower them with all my epic fury, So, then yes, then at the end of the day, we haven't really dealt with the actual truth, the actual facts. So, therefore, it says, the retaliation, one could say, if you would still like to be dramatic, is such that it's inevitable, that there will be, or we would feel like there is a retaliation, We don't mean it. We didn't plan for that. We didn't aim for that. But karma is karma, With small things we deal with. If there's a small problem, we deal it accordingly. If there's a larger problem, we deal it accordingly, in the context of not being, being more pragmatic, not too emotional and not too romantic, let's say, And so then it makes sense, Otherwise, if you try to power through, then the problem is, Shantideva is not saying is, but what he discovered, is that then that there will be a reaction. Yeah. There will be a reaction. And as a result, then either emotionally or literally, that there will be some form of dukkha, or suffering or pain. And although the good news is that this dukkha is not permanent, it's not permanent damage, but the power of it, the power of this dukkha is such that it has, I dare say, the quality, to prolong, to postpone, postponement. And this postponement is, then one can describe it as depression, or in physical or literal sense, it will cause health issues, permanent physical damage, And so therefore, it's, all the more reason to be observant, to be meditative. So then, if you understand that, the shortcut is that then, yes, liberation is not so far. Yeah. Liberation or moksha, or if you think just in general term, moksha is not so far. If you think in a particular way, because we are romantics, if you feel that I am therefore you, or therefore us or we, and so on, then I feel a sense of not exactly guilt, but I feel responsible, And so I want to make this right, And so in this case, the liberation from dukkha, is it possible? It is possible. But the hindrances are none other than, in this case, right now we are just talking on the surface, of course, where we say the attachment to sentient beings, and that is just dealing with the surface, because at the core, of course, is the Atma, yes, or it's the here, yes. But as part of that extension of here, we say yesterday, tomorrow, or in terms of time. Otherwise, in terms of extension, then you, second person, third person, and then the rest, And so therefore, if we are constantly just absorbed by trying to figure out the best possible organization to manage the extension, since we haven't dealt with the habit, or the here and now, then to deal with the extensions is just impossible in any way. Yes, the subtle aspects are not dealt with. So how come from any, either from a spiritual logic or non-spiritual logic, it just doesn't compute. And so therefore, it will eventually cover up seeing the truth, Yanda nila kunindib. So it means that it will cover up the actual sight, the actual view, what we are all trying to view, that will be covered up. Again, it's not permanent to be aware. So we don't have to be panicking that, it's the end, No, it's not. But as I said earlier, the postponement, will feel so long that it will feel too long, and after some time I don't even know what it means, the word term long, that it feels like it's eternal damnation, And so therefore the actual sight will be covered, veiled, and then that romantic feeling, that beautiful thing. I don't know, I'm sure there are different ways of describing it in the English translation of Gyoe Sem, if you use Google Translation, I use Google Translation, this is my problem, I have refrained myself till now very proudly from using ChatGPT. But I must confess that I use Google Translation. Maybe it's the same thing, Yeah, it's the same. Dead gummit. But allow me. So, therefore, we could use such tools or translations, direct translations, or commentaries, more academic translations about the Gyoe Sem as probably disappointment, Nothing really related to depression, but just disappointment, But in this case, or disillusionment, probably that's the right word, yes. Disillusionment, yes. So therefore, even that will be lost. Because if you want to be romantic, then disillusionment is probably the key, the heart of it. And because through disillusionment, we can appreciate the transient nature without having to praise it, without having to condemn it, criticize it, and let the transient nature be, So, whoops. I'm looking for that candy now. So, disillusionment, yes. You can hear me at the back, yes. My voice is a bit groggy and crackling, but I hope you can still hear that crackling noise. Okay, very good. So, Yeah. I found it. So, where were we? Disillusionment, yes? The beautiful disillusionment. If there is no disillusionment, we will never be able to use the term beautiful, if you really think about it. Yes, so that will be dissolved, sterilized to a certain degree, yes. And then the liberation, moksha that we talked about, that will, be postponed, I suppose. Maybe I'm still being sentimental by saying postponed, So, if we go through or semba mbashik means constantly. If we just go through like that, then basically there is no purpose to this life, with all the endowments and luxuries that we talk about, the 18 different qualities and so on, it is good as it didn't exist. And we will not see, says the eternal Dharma, or Yungrong Chechen Jigpaja. Of course, that is not literally meant like that. Of course, it's honest, yet at the same time, language-wise, concept-wise, it's a metaphor. It's not to say the eternal Dhamma will cease to exist, not in that sense. It means that what is apparent will be veiled. That's a little bit closer. Because what is apparent is, or the beauty of Buddha Dharma is that it's constantly classically telling that everything is transient, yes, and that will never get old. Old is gold. So that will be forever classic, forever green. Time-wise, linear time-wise, however many Buddhas may have taught, it was always the same, They never deviated from there. Not because there was a law, there was a commandment, but no matter how many fingers or individuals. There was one question yesterday, however many fingers we have, even if you're amputated or something, that finger will touch the same thing, And so therefore, in that sense, it was true, it was true in the beginning, true in the middle, true in the end, or true yesterday, it is still true today, and no matter how dramatic tomorrow may be, it will still be the truth. In that way, maybe we can say eternal. So even that will be sterilized, And so therefore, and then the 8th verse says something along the line that it's not to say I'm superior, than others. That's not the point, My merit is higher than yours. My understanding is deeper than yours. Nothing to do with that. But conversation-wise, we can say there are those who are inexperienced, and then accordingly, as a contrast to that, to complement that, then one can say there are those who are experienced. And so therefore, if one really loves excellence, then it will become apparent simply through, once again, through meditation, through this art of dhyana. We will be able to see that there is no point in mingling with the immature lots. Maybe it's not an immature lots, or maybe it's just an immature lot. I don't know. Whichever way, there is no point. Because I want to do something original, as we always say. I want to do something fresh. I want to do something new. I don't want to bring up some old subject, and ruin the day. I want to do something that is fresh, that is new. Why? Because that's what everyone is seeking for. Yes. And so therefore, as long as we, this is misguided compassion. Yes. It's not about saying there's a reservation for compassion, only reserved for the VIPs, and it's not about trying to be democratic also, And so therefore, or the opposite. It's just Shantideva is just telling the truth. Because it's not that he was busuku, as he was known, sleeping, basically a living tube, Okay, that's the label he got for however time he spent, in the great university of Nalanda. Nalanda was, yes, Nalanda. And therefore, of course, everybody teased him out, They thought they could say, "Here, kitty, kitty, we will give you a big throne, if you say something entertaining." It looks, of course, at the time as if he was entertained by that idea, or he was fascinated by a big, juicy, fat throne, And so therefore, and then as if he was trapped by that, and then he said some rather intelligent things, But the truth was, or truth is, that's always something that I always keep in mind, that the very same teacher who taught me about the Vaitara always used to say that you are going to learn English in time. He said it's a wonderful language. And yet at the same time, what you have to be aware, he said, is that the Tibetan language is based on action, whereas the English language is based on time. He said, you have to know the difference. Then you can enjoy it, he said. Such wonderful things, as a growing child, you need to hear that kind of inspiration, Not to say, oh, the world is terrible, there are enemies here, enemies there, you need to protect yourself, you need to defend your own territory, and so on and so forth, using spirituality, But instead, he used to say those things, Yes, there is diversity, there is variousness, But if you can enjoy it, then he said, well, which is similar to, I don't know, one of the poets, English poets said, I think, variety is the spice of life or something, So, therefore, it rings, So, sorry. So then, in that sense, then what is the point of mingling with the immature? In this case, sometimes known as children, It's a beautiful language to say children, because there is no enemy at the end of the day. No matter how much we try to contrast, to one extreme and to the other, at the end of the day, it's none other than just immature and mature, experienced, inexperienced. Yet, when we are very emotional, of course, we feel like I'm here, you're there. And so therefore, we feel that I'm speaking my mind, I'm using my right. And so therefore, of course, it's not the Bodhisattva's way to say, to diminish that, destroy that, by using thunderbolt. Dialing up, is in Vajrapani, do something about it, But instead, to use the skillful upaya, skillful means, to allow, every day all kinds of thoughts arise, yes? And so therefore, we don't destroy them. We never can, We never can. This is one of the beautiful truths of Buddha nature. I don't know. I was about to say Buddha nature, but that's not the right way to put it. We cannot. It's not because we are not allowed, but we cannot. We cannot destroy that. It just cannot be done. But what we can do is go along with it and say, yes, I understand, not alone, And then not really convert it, of course, That's not the actual aim, but to somehow go along with it when in Rome, And so therefore it's a beautiful language of in this case, of the higher society, let's say, the educated lot. In this case, from a perspective of those who love excellence, for that, in English, we have a good term, philosophy, yes, the love of wisdom. And so philosophically it's correct to say child or children. You know? And furthermore, should we still, be stubborn by saying, come on, we are supposed to be Bodhisattvas, we are supposed to help each other out, it's part of our vow, it's part of our commitment, we are not supposed to abandon them, and so therefore, what do we do, So again, misguided compassion, in short. For the fact that I just mentioned, or not I mentioned, but according to this literature, jiva, or children, suggests that we have never given up, from any angle. Yet, for those of us who love this wisdom, who love this knowledge, how do I tackle it? What is the most skillful mean? Particularly if I recognize myself as a beginner, how do I deal with it? Then it says that these are important facts to understand, because this surface level, of the nature of our life, as I said earlier, the extension of Atma, we cannot attack the boss right away. Boss level comes later. Yes. In every video game, we have the boss level at the end. There are methods, skillful methods. The most extreme skillful methods where we say attack the boss firsthand. And so therefore, the rest of the goons or minions are sort of leaderless, That's another way. Yeah. But it's not exactly my way. So, therefore, now here, then, still we are talking about the surface. So that, you see, we don't, as I said yesterday and day before, that the samadhi, or in this case the dhyana, the art of dhyana should come in. Of course, when we say come in, it sounds foreign. Yes? But somehow maybe we have no other way to talk about it, as if it's a foreign entity. We have to welcome it in such a way that is not threatening, that it is not an opposition, it's not an enemy. Rather, we have to sort of ease into it, and by doing so in time, without developing any kind of allergy, without having to exceed the, of course, there will be the rising of white blood cells, but if we do it in small doses, then eventually the efficient white blood cells will not coagulate too much in one place and turn it cancerous or something. I'm not a medical doctor or anything, so therefore you have to correct me if I'm using these analogies correctly or not, okay? But I'm just trying to sound so knowledgeable, I'm such an all-rounder, jack of all trades, master of none, and so please bear with me. Yeah. Yes, we don't want that kind of reaction, But if you allow it, slowly, starting from the surface, then we will be able to see that the nature of these so-called extensions, what we say others, or people, in short, in very colloquial terms, people. If there was an innocent child or an actual philosopher, I think they would have a huge headache to understand what do they mean when we as pragmatic people, when we say, oh, it's these people, they would have a hard time understanding what they actually mean. Even ChatGPT will have a hard time. I mean, I appreciate these digital tools, I really feel that they are like children, actually. And since we are inevitably going through this current of utilizing ChatGPT or this form of artificial intelligence, we have a huge responsibility, how we educate them, just like how we would educate our young ones, And because just like a child, this, I don't like to use the word creature, which is, I think, which is derived from the idea of creation, creator, and so on. But nevertheless, whether it's organic or not, doesn't matter. We have manifested something very, very interesting. And so eventually we will try to draw wisdom from it, like Manjushri. And so therefore, again, the care is so important. The compassionate aspect is so important. I think it all comes down to what we search for, how we search for. We have all kinds of search engines, yes? And so accordingly, what we search for, because this child is so innocent that it can recognize this Ultron, To some of you, it might speak. To some of you, it might not. If you are a fan of Marvel comics, Ultron. And so therefore, this is constantly learning our habits, Basically, they are copying us at the end of the day. Copying how we walk, how we talk, how we think, So it's not so much to have an actual program, hard program to say, you, my child, you must learn this, and this is the way. Instead, just like any young children, they will just mimic, copy the most subtle things we do. And that, the shortcut to it, I feel, is the way we search for information. According to how we search for information, it has a direct connection to the growth of this artificial intelligence, And so therefore, whether we would like to see a very dramatic doom, or not, we would like to have a wonderful friend, it will be completely up to us in terms of how we search for information. I'm not saying this so that now we will have second thoughts about what we would do, and feel so nervous about it. But it's good to be aware. It's part of this samadhi or dhyana practice. So then, in this case, what that artificial intelligence will learn, or what we would learn, is that as long as we don't love excellence, we don't love beauty, which is transient, then what will happen is we will have a misguided appearance of that, or experience of that. And so therefore what will happen is what we say samsara. And so here it goes. That what we say people, that impossible to please, in short, Today you are my friend, tomorrow you are my confusion. And if it's, let's say, if there's a guarantee that until the day ends you will stay as my friend, it's still something, I can wait till tomorrow, But no, yutsam means spontaneously or in very short amount of time, momentarily, it will turn into the confuser. And on top of it, it's endless, I don't know if it's the right analogy, but like how cuckoo birds are born, yeah? I don't know if it's by default like that every time, their offspring, or the way they grow. But according to Sir David Attenborough, I love him to bits, really. His way of describing things, his humor is just unbelievable, And so the way he describes, in this case, the cuckoo birds, Yes, we relate to cuckoo birds in a very romantic way, of course, love birds, morning clock. Morning clock, I think, is completely messed up. It should be a chicken or rooster, not the cuckoo bird, But nevertheless. And so therefore, if I'm correct, according to Sir David Attenborough, then the parents would leave the cuckoo bird eggs into other birds' nests, yes? And so therefore the parents would have it's until the day they cannot fly. That's their duty, You feed and you feed, or in other words, I give and I give and I give, and nothing, there is no result, And so therefore, gawe nela chocheba, it means that still is, So, and so therefore, sosukyewo ngorka, and so therefore, sosukyewo individuals, these individuals or these fingers are impossible to please, So, yes, and so, yes, as part of the misguided compassion, then I may try to say the truth, directly, indirectly, nicely. Of course, if you say too direct, then the allergy will kick in. White blood cells will coagulate like nobody's business, of course. And it will spit it out, And then as a beginner, of course, Shantideva is trying to remind ourselves, Dākyāṃ pēnye dōparche means that, of course, if you are already experienced, it's something else. But in this case, he's saying, if one is a beginner, Dākyāṃ means even yourself, penle dobraje. So meaning that, how to say, I'm barely able to swim, but with the little knowledge of swimming, I'm trying to save you, but out of that panic, I will be drowned too, and both the parties fail into postponement. And then now they will try to be wise, of course, as all children will love to feel that I'm a grown up, and then they will try to sort of lecture, and so therefore they always want is to say, listen to me, I have something to say. And so therefore, if you don't pay attention, then you'll be perceived as bad parenting, perceived as bad friends or bad parents or something. But basically, the meaning is that if you don't listen to them, then again it drowns them, it drowns you, since you are, in this case, a beginner. And then the rest of the 8 worldly dharmas are explained from the 11th verse. Excuse me. And so the nature of it is, of the 8 worldly dharmas, we have pretty much read through the 8 worldly dharmas, so much so that I don't remember. And so, yes, it's not Shantideva is Shantideva and the like, all those enlightened beings are never in any way demonizing anything or anyone. So therefore this I'm repeating so that I hope all of us will understand that that is the case, we should not be falling into any kind of extreme. The dhyana, or the as part of the practice, what we say shamatha, the practice of shamatha, that calm, abiding nature or quality is such that we need a reason, That's why we focus on the 4 immeasurables, We need a target, yes. So we are trying to focus on the target so that we are not scattered and not know where to focus. And so therefore, it's not in any way promoting the misguided compassion, but in fact, it is very, very much talking about compassion, in order to, the reason for compassion is that as long as we are in this pattern, we are experiencing this pattern, where we feel that there is a self, that there is an Atma, at the same time not demonizing the idea of Atma, but as long as we are fixated on this, then from that the extensions are all this, that the extension or what will branch out, river out, is and create all sorts of deltas and so on, is all erroneous or misguided, and so therefore we are trying to understand these symptoms. And so therefore the nature of these, what we call different types of branches or something, are that naturally we feel how to say, as part of Atma, or we say mental events. There are 59 mental events. Yes, so far we recorded that far. Maybe there are more, with the addition of artificial intelligence. I don't know. But otherwise, even the idea of mental events are, how to say, meant for us to understand that, to understand the root tree, and its branches. Or if there's a group, there is a group leader. There is the one that is charming and all, and then it will have its squad. So sem dang semjong, sem and semjong. So what sem as in mind, semjong as in the derivatives of that of mind of that particular event. And they always travel as part of an aggregate. And so therefore, the worldly one, in this case, the demeritorious ones, the demeritorious actions. Yes, action at the end of the day, it's not the physical gesture, of being dramatically kind and dramatically angry and so on, or either the sweet, pleasing speech or the harsh speech, the action at the end of the day, it all stems from the root, from the mind, from the mind, yes. And so therefore, from the demeritorious aspects of the mind, then, yes, what will branch out, first we say, three original, that the Holy Trinity, Ndocha Shedan Timug, or as we say, desire, or attachment. Probably attachment is more correct. And Shedang as in the destructive mind, sort of a result of when we don't get what we want. Yeah. Whereas desire is the part where I want what I want, sort of thing. And then now I don't get what I want, I always get what I don't want, so I'm tired, so I'm going to put my head in the sand or something. I don't want to look at anything, In that sense, then, as we say, ignorance, yes. And so now these three are like the color palettes, What is it? Blue, red, yellow, yes. And from there, then, there are a lot of different branching colors, And so therefore, then one of the first things that begins from the 11th verse is jealousy. Yeah. You cannot say it's purely desire or attachment. You cannot purely say it is anger or ignorance. Yet at the same time, without the three of them, there would be no such thing as jealousy. So, yet at the same time, they are like the children of those three, And so therefore there is a very strong sense of family, and nepotism, and so therefore from there, then, in terms of how to give birth to this child, you need a reason to give birth to this child, this forsaken child, is then none other than thinking. It begins very innocently, of course, just like any young children, whether they are, regardless of their gender, they naturally feel that I want to be older, wiser, That's more natural, of course, yes. And so they don't really like mingling among themselves. They often they always try to find a way to look up, yes. And then, I want to be that, I want to be that. And then, until they are physically and mentally there, in that sort of capacity, it's a constant struggle, Initially it comes out cute, but later on it's not so cute. And so therefore now, if this goes unchecked, that desire to grow up, let's say, if one gets fixated on this, or in this case, whether it's the mother or the father, oh, this is because of my mother's fault or my father's fault, So I don't know if attachment is the mother or the father, I don't know. But accordingly, and then one feels that I want to become basically, in short, obsessed, one way or the other. That which started very innocently, it becomes an obsession. Yes, it goes unchecked, unchallenged, and not worked with, And then, as a result, what we get is a pattern, an event, a state, not a person, not an actual thing, not a literal existing, truly existing thing, but a pattern is then developed, which we call commonly as jealousy. Yes? And so therefore, it's never enough, Of course it will never be enough, because we wanted to grow up like somebody, yes? Yet at the same time, we will never get there, that tomorrow will never come, actually, But we didn't realize that, And as a result, even when we have reached the exact same age, we have reached a very similar sort of physical stature in terms of strength, wealth, power, fortune, fame, everything is still never enough. And so it has become an addiction, to be constantly jealous, envious. And all we know, more than our practice or meditation, we know more of that as a mantra, daily prayer. And so then we have sayings like, oh, the grass is always greener on the other side, all those things, yes? And so it's a phenomenon. That's why it's saying it's a dharma. But what kind of phenomena? What kind of dharma? Worldly dharma. That's the best we can come up with so far in English term. But in Tibetan we say njikten. Means loka. What is it? Loka? Yes. So I don't know if there's any connection, but with the term local in English, Maybe there is a connection, I don't know. It's interesting because it's, local, because local means something that is in trend right now, something that is fashionable to do, to look sad, to look happy, to look rich, to look poor, all those things, And so therefore, it's a local phenomenon, if I'm correct. Yeah. And so therefore, loka, I don't know in Sanskrit, but nevertheless, the Tibetan translation of it or interpretation of it is jikten, dependent on something that is going to be always changing, always transient, but without realizing it. Therefore, we call it worldly, And so therefore, it is that kind of phenomena. And so therefore, we will never get there, never, ever. Yet, because we will never, ever get there, this particular, as we say, affliction or emotion, this disturbing emotion will continue to repeat. Yeah. Not exactly grow, because it doesn't exist, but it has the power to repeat. Yeah. Today I'm jealous, gone into yesterday, and then tomorrow, the so-called tomorrow, when it comes, another today, yes, again I repeat, And so therefore I'll keep repeating, but packaged slightly different every day, according to the weather. Like we say, imperialism or communism or capitalism or anything. We have so many different varieties, and it will continue to be like that, but not one of them is the same. Yes. So same thing, this particular pattern of emotion, if it is not seen, that's it. It's not to say if it's not destroyed, if it's not converted, not in that sense. But if it's not seen, if it's not observed, if it's not viewed, visioned, I don't know, all these words, then it has the power to repeat again and again and again. Yeah. And so-called, and that's why I'm trying to say postponement, So therefore, to the forever tomorrows, we will always feel jealous. And should there be the case where we find, I don't know, by chance, by fluke, by fortune, by merit, by effort, if we find our equals, will we be happy? No. The worldly Dharma is such that then we will never stay satisfied that I finally found my equal and then somehow exhale, No. Now I want to find all the nitty-gritty aspects of this particular extended emotion or mindset, this local phenomena, Instead, now I want to split hairs, so to speak, to see I have a longer nose than you, I have a more of a button nose than you, or I don't know, anything. And then likewise, then to those, as I said earlier, to those measly ones, the so-called measly ones, the minority. My goodness, then that's when we feel so empowered, that we can feel now, I can bully them, I can stomp around, I can misuse whatever, I don't know, pattern of power, fortune, and fame that seems to exist in the atmosphere, I will use that, and to overpower them. Because maybe they're young, maybe they're inexperienced, I will use that. And so likewise, also there, yes, it says malang ngajal, and so therefore pride, another cousin. We give birth to another little black sheep. And so then tenatek means very easily to say puffed, or praised. No stability, no stableness, basically no substance. Because one is constantly going with the local sort of trend all the time, so busy catching up with that trend, and all the while forgetting what is my actual root, Of course, the actual root, my actual ancestry, if there is such, was none other than the knowing that everything is transient. Yes, that was my actual root. That was my actual DNA. And so therefore, very easily puffed up or ballooned. And the moment one hears any kind of criticism, then one is very easily ticked off. So therefore, remember the three poisons or the three roots, the part of that feeling of not getting what I want, And so therefore, now an extension of that sort of, I don't know how to call it, a personification of that basic dislike. Yes, dislike. Yes, like, dislike, and ignoring. And so in this case, the dislike, which is somewhat innocent, in this case is manifested much more vibrant. And so therefore now in this case there is an actual feeling of I want to destroy that. Destroy what is not pleasing, what is not to my liking. And so therefore by the last verse of the 11th saying, so when will I ever find meaning, When will I ever find medicine? When will I ever find a cure? Because I'm a beginner, So in this case, very subtly Shantideva is expressing, reminding us for beginners, yes. Whereas for those who are advanced, who have overcome, who have reached moksha, then they don't need to talk about these things, yes. But for us as beginners, since we are still looking for a cure, yes, that's why there is a reason to respect the robes, The robes are not a stature, particularly the robes that the ones that ordained ones wear, and even the lay ones, they all wear a part of a robe. And if I understood correctly from my teachers, is that they were never meant to show stature, higher excellence, social stature, I mean, not completely. But instead, it was a way to show that I have a problem. Like, not a physical one, but a mental one. It's saying, be warned, I'm mental. And so, but not all the way crazy, I'm somewhat aware of my condition, And so therefore, I'm wearing this clothing as a sign to say, bear with me, or be warned, be warned of the dog or something, beware of dog or something. Of course, we can put it more dramatic, beware of the monster and all this and that. But really, sort of truthfully and very, in a very civilized way of saying, I'm working on something, please give me time. All I'm asking for is the basic necessity of life. That's all I need. Because I know that I cannot take anything with me, whether after I worked out what is my problem, or before that, if my body should come to an end, Either way, I will not take anything with me. And so therefore, please bear with me. And I'm not trying to say that, or one is not trying to say that if you do, then you will have better consequences, better connections for supernatural powers, longevity, blah, blah, But instead, truthfully say, I'm working on something. Yeah. And so therefore, it's showing that I'm a beginner, in short, I feel. We cannot really say anything about those who are advanced, that is beyond our capacity. Not to say that they are beyond judgment and this and that, not in that sense, but more in a sense that at least we can recognize to a certain degree the beginners, yes? It's relatable. We can talk to them. And so therefore, it's a way to make us realize that they're working on something. And so therefore, its disadvantages and disadvantages and meaningless to somehow discredit what they are trying to do, Okay, some may be actual beginners. They really don't know what they're doing, They've been raised up before they could, before they have potty training, and so therefore they have been mobilized, militarized into big factories, to become spiritual soldiers. And so, yes, that's also there, But in general, the idea of it is that those who wear robes, whether they are monastic or lay, that they are saying that I'm trying to really, I cannot repeat this enough, that they are working on something. That's the best way one could say. And so therefore, to have a little respect for them, to give them a bit of privacy, before they go fully mental or something, It's the least civilized thing to do, and not criticize them. And so, therefore, I think this last verse, or the last line, the fourth line, namshik chile pempan top is again Shantideva is very passively and subtly referring to that, reminding us that they're saying, when will I ever find something meaningful from these worldly dharmas? Not saying them, not saying you or he or she or they, but really saying this pattern, this worldly phenomena, this local phenomena. When will I find any meaningful thing from this worldly phenomena? And so therefore, as I said yesterday, it's not personal, but extremely, extremely close and heartwarming, intimate, if you like. Yeah. So yes, so now, how long has it been? So okay, 5:30. So therefore, now if you have one or two questions, so today we will stop at this verse, and then I will try to go through a few more tomorrow. Yes, this one. Yeah. I hope they were clear enough of what I said. Yeah. But like I said, I didn't want to go full-on class mode, Yes, please.
Dear Karmapa, I hope so this will be related to the topic. Sorry. I was wondering, I will use the analogy which you used AI. There is, for example, if you have a self-driving car, there is this leader which is...
Sorry.
Okay.
If I have?
When you have... Okay. When you have a self-driving car...
Yeah.
There is the laser scanning
yes.
the place all the time.
Sure.
It gets a point.
Okay.
And to drive, it has to do a simulation
yeah.
of the reality, of the surrounding.
Okay.
And also, it has to have a simulation
yes.
itself.
Yes.
That it knows how it's go fast, how it is wide, or so on.
Yeah.
So, in the neuroscience, it looks like our brain is doing exactly the same.
Sure.
And same like the car, which is not seeing the reality.
Yeah.
We have just the simulation of the reality, also the simulation of ourselves, and we are making also the story.
Right.
What are we doing? So, my question is, okay, is the consciousness just a function of my brain or of the brain?
Okay.
Or is it like the quality which is everywhere?
Okay.
Like even in some tough matter?
Right.
Okay.
And? The question was?
Actually, is this just the simulation of the brain like a supercomputer? Or is it just like when the Buddhism is saying there is a consciousness, something like a space which creates everything?
Okay.
It's like the space and there is everything happening, or is it just the process in my head?
Okay, that makes me think a lot.
Dear Karmapa, is ChatGPT alive?
Okay. Good one. Yes. It doesn't matter. Yeah. I mean, for the fact that we can feel, I don't know, an organic matter, it's at the end of the day, it's all about how we can. I said yesterday also and day before also. How poetic can we be? How good a commentator we can be. If we are, then I remember one of the stories that I used to repeat sometimes in the past was that I think that time I was back in Tibet, yes. And so therefore, of course, there's nothing much to do. There is no ChatGPT at the time. There is no YouTube, there is no Google, there is not even electricity, of course. So all you can do is just listen to people, yes, and their stories. And so one of the stories was that they said, oh, once upon a time, there were two masters, And then one of the masters said, my goodness, today I think the session went quite well with the local villagers. And the fellow master said, oh, how so? He said, because when I today described about the nature of samsara and everything, the whole audience was very emotional, and they were very moved, basically. And then he said, oh, okay. And then the next day, then he did the one who did the other master, then again attended the session or gave a lecture. And then he started to talk about the suffering of a carrot, the kind of condition that it goes through, how difficult it is to be born as a carrot. The whole birth, living, dying cycle of a carrot, or carrots. And the whole audience cried. And then he came back for, I don't know, afternoon tea or lunch and told us, hey, what do you think about that? And so therefore, yes, I mean, we are all philosophers, of course, at the end of the day, If you want to believe that everything is alive, I don't know, now where is that gentleman? I cannot see. Oh, yes, that's it. Yeah. So, yes, we can make anything alive, There are religions for that, to say, not just to say sentient being, but all living beings are alive. And in terms of naturalism, I suppose we can pretty much go along with that, And so therefore, now this is another extension of how creative we can be to actually tell ourselves that just elaborated electric circuit boards combined with oil, plastic, metal, it's alive, If you can turn, if you can have the idea of tree beard, why not? AIs, yeah? And so therefore, or what is it? Cave trolls. Yes. Anyway, rock beings, tree beings and rock beings, If that's possible, then, yeah, Megatrons and Optimus Prime, Bumblebee, anything is possible, Yeah. So there is no limit to it. Yeah, it's really limitless. Yeah. But if those philosophies can somehow find a way, let's say, because we feel so apart, yes? We feel that we are a family, we are friends, we are siblings, we are a society, yet we feel so far apart, yes? If you can, so because of that, now through some other, whether it's internal or external means, upaya, yes. If Optimus Prime is the upaya, or in this case, as I would say, probably Bumblebee, which is a live car. Not the Chevrolet, but the other one. But if that can, well, not to say make us cry, but or laugh, that it can give us a reflection of what we always didn't want to see in the very beginning. I said, the reflection of ourselves, the one we didn't want to look at every morning, yes, or we looked at it too much that we fell in love with. Either way, it's extreme. Yes, it's not balanced, or it's not well poised. Yes, and so therefore, if that reflection can make us realize that liking, that understanding, or what we in short commonly say or popularly say, some link to the idea of kindness. Yes, for the fact that if we may cry, or if we may laugh because of a talking tree or something, then it has done its job. Then the purpose is fulfilled. Yeah. Then an AI, if an AI in this case can make us connect because we feel separated. Not that we ever needed to connect, because we were never separated in the first place. There was no Atma. It's anatma. Yes. And so selfless. So if that creativity of a story, because we all love a story, yes, we cannot really listen to logics for too long. Yes, it's boring. But to stories, we can always lend some attention, some observation, meditation. And so through that, we can understand that, okay, in this case to say alive, alive because it's a medium, nothing more, but it can still make me cry, in a sense that I can feel something, I can feel something if it's Megatron. I can feel something if it's Optimus Prime, like that. Anyway, you didn't watch the cartoons, yeah? You did? Okay. And so, yeah. So in that sense, then it's okay, yeah. We can believe what we want, no problem. But if we are sort of very I will just pause there. Yeah.
So if I get it correctly,
yeah,
if I'm continuing in the simulation, then I'm alive. But the simulation itself, it's not real. And maybe it's happening in my head only, or maybe not.
It doesn't matter. it just doesn't matter whether whether it feels that I'm happening, or it is happening, or they are happening. It doesn't matter. I mean, we can get into that detail, into the nitty-gritty aspect of it, and it can be a fascinating world. Rather than doing destructive things, that can be a very good pastime, And it may not create merit, but at the same time, it won't create demeritorious actions, So maybe it's neutral. Yeah. But what we want right now as a beginner is create or accumulate meritorious actions. Yes, and so in that sense, if AI is going to do it, do the thing, do the work for us, then why not? Yeah.
Can I have a quick question? I'm anesthetist, and I want some practical advice if there are patients with chronic severe pain, which is not reacting on analgetics.
Right.
Is there some way how to help, or what to do actually for them, or how they can help themselves, if it's possible? Anesthetist, and I'm anesthetist.
Okay.
I put people sleep.
Right. Okay. Yes. Now, that I've always said in the past, it's so we have no right over what is, even to say or to think what is right and wrong. Yeah. It is completely first of all, if the patient, him or herself, or themselves, feel cognitive enough, conscious enough that they want to go this way or that way, it's up to them, And then if they are not conscious, well, to be very blunt, whether to pull the plug, so to speak, It's really, in that moment, the person, either the relative or the friend or whoever is close or whoever is there in that moment, it's up to that person's, that current, that very spontaneous moment, And we can never truly judge and say that's wrong or right. Yeah. We have no place at all, really. None of us are born to be a judge, Although when we talk about spirituality, at the end of the day, I don't know if it's bhakti yoga, or devotion yoga, yes. Devotion yoga is built in that sense of as if there is someone superior, someone who is more advanced, who has more authority and this and that. But that is just a means, It's just a skillful means, nothing more. It's not in a literal sense, And so therefore, sometimes we may mistake, without knowing, of course, that since we are in the realm, or since we are associated one way or the other with spirituality, we feel that we have to go according to that spiritual hierarchy, authority, judging, or we could put it responsible sort of way of, condemning whether this is the right action or wrong action, It's just a skillful means, nothing more. Yeah.
So if I get correctly, when the patient has chronic severe pain,
right,
just don't give it a meaning, like is it bad or good, or I'm not sure if I get the answer correctly. Sorry.
Okay, it's difficult to say, to be honest, even for me to, answer, It's really up to that moment. Yeah, it is a sort of moment of do or die. Literally. Yes. Will this action be judged as good or bad? We are just at gunpoint almost. Yes. And so therefore, the reason why we talk about compassion or karma, rebirth, all of that is all towards saying, at the end of the day, you just cannot deem that this is the right action or wrong action. Yeah. Impossible. You can only sort of accept, accept that, okay, that action was taken or that option is being taken. And so let's not over-exaggerate, because it's either the patient or the doctor or the friend, yeah? In short, there is no answer to it actually. Yeah. It's really up to that moment. Yeah.
Thank you.
Right. So then, any other questions? Otherwise, okay. Yes. There.
Hello, Karmapa. I have a question about attachment. In Buddhism says that attachment is like some poison, something bad.
Poison?
Yeah, I'll continue translating.
Okay.
So in Buddhism we say that attachment is like poison.
Okay. Right.
But if it's possible that in our life we have some kind of healthy attachment. I mean that it's hard to talk with our close one and relatives without attachment.
Mm-hmm.
Or is there any way to communicate with your close one or relatives in safe mode of attachment?
Right.
Or in distance?
Yes, of course.
So in general, how we can use attachment in a healthy way?
Yes.
Yeah, that's it.
Yes, I understand. Yes, that's why. Thank you. So, that's why yesterday you can. Yes, I will wait for you to put the. Yeah. That's why I think yesterday already, probably even day before, I did mention that, which I'll repeat now again to answer this question. It's not personal, This either this particular literature or Buddha Dharma in general. It's not saying, attachment is bad, and if you have attachment, then there is something wrong with you, and then we will begin to feel, is attachment something that is on me, like a dirt, or is it within me, or is it me, and we have all kinds of, as we say, outer, inner secret, We create all kinds of levels, and philosophically we try to sort of, either with the help of a shrink or by oneself, we will begin to investigate further and further. But as long as we don't have this vision or view, or this kind of meditation, meditation, yes, then it's possible that we somehow feel that it's invasive, that I think this spirituality is attacking me, invading my privacy, you know. And the moment we feel that and not realize that it's talking about a pattern, a certain event, you know, a certain mood, a certain atmosphere, rather than something solidly existing self, you know, Atma. Yes. The moment we don't know that, realize that, remember that, it becomes too personal, you know. And therefore, then if one believes that it's on me, then maybe, you know, we can take a shower or something, you know. But if it's somehow a little bit inner, you know, it's part of my blood, part of my DNA, you know, then what kind of dialysis I need to have, you know. And then, but what if? Just what if? What if this is really me, you know? There is something wrong with me. Then it becomes very personal, yes? And it's very difficult to deal with it, accept it. And then we can literally feel depressed, you know? Forget spirituality. Even on one's own, one can feel depressed. Whereas Buddhism in general, and particularly in this Kyantideva, what he's saying is that let's look at it in a way that it's like a weather. It's like seasons. It's like a pattern, you know, a certain layer of spectrum, you know. And in a spectrum, there are so many different rays of color, light, yes, shapes and so on. Or if you cannot see, but if you can hear, sound is a whole other universe, yes. Sound just doesn't exist by itself, you know. It needs three main components. So, in terms of the receiver, the amplifier or the sound box, and then the interaction, yes. And so therefore, one can break it down. That's what I was saying yesterday. One can break it down, you know. Yes, there is a sense of intimacy, you know, in terms of, it's not that now that's happening out there somewhere, you know, foreign, alien. And I'm here watching them, you know, not in that sense. So the theater up there, I'm an audience and the play is happening, and so therefore I feel something, but I cannot, you know, intervene the hero to say, oh, don't do this, for goodness sake, you know. But instead, you are there, you know, very much participating. And so there is involvement for sure. Yeah. But the involvement is such that you are able to either, if you read a story or a novel or a particular theory or something, it's broken down, yes, into different chapters, segments, paragraphs, sentences, words, verbs, nouns, consonants, and so on. And so similarly, what Buddhism in general, and particularly Shantideva, is trying to do is the same thing, breaking everything down, just as the body does, you know. When we eat something, or when I took this candy now, it's been slowly broken down into different components, you know, and then it's been segregated. Okay, now this to the liver, this to the this, that, you know, to the bloodstream, blah, blah. So, therefore, the point is that because it's broken down, because it's patterns, and pattern has so many different layers, you know. In order to create a pattern, you need to first have, one dimension, then a second dimension, then a third dimension, yes, we say 3D, you know. So like that, if you break it down, then each has its own dimension, each has its own pattern. But when you put them together, there's a sense of optical illusion, yes? Or, hearing illusion, I don't know, sound illusion, this feeling illusion, smell illusion, where we say, for example, okay, this has, in that way, I love that movie called The Perfume or something. Probably some of you might have seen it, yes. It's a kind of a scary movie, of course, disturbing, but nevertheless, you see, this is the beauty of learning Buddhism. I'm not trying to sell it, okay? But nevertheless, if you have some idea of Buddhism, then even if you watch a movie like The Perfume, it's very fascinating, It's showcasing how the mind works, If we were blind, if we were mute, none of our senses really work, let's say. But if you just have the smell, how fascinating that universe is, that you can break it down into different components, as they say, the head, the body, the tail, and so on, yeah? And so therefore, like that, we can break it down, The art of it is to break it down and have to have the patience of breaking down. We always do that every day, actually. We have to unscrew the cap of the toothpaste first, and then smear it on the toothpaste. It's always breaking down, yes. And when we eat, when we drink, when we sleep, when we wear clothes, everything. If we brush our hair, I cannot brush my hair. I wanted to brush my hair, so there was one time I kept it as long as possible during COVID. And I think I did tell you once, and I kept my beard on as well. And then I looked into the mirror and I thought, this face looks familiar. And then I had a French beret. I put that on and then took a picture. I looked like Che Guevara. But an Asian twist, So it's a process. You cannot grow your hair overnight, You have to break it down, one by one. So therefore, if you break it down, it doesn't feel invasive, Yet at the same time, you can participate, And so now in here, yes, it's a popular religious way of saying poison, Or one could say it's a philosophical term, a philosophical way of categorizing, Because forget spirituality, even in natural society, we say we recognize that strong attachment is not good, yes? Because then you will kill the beautiful little bird, Oh, it's so cute, and then try to kiss it or hold it, and then it's dead. And so therefore, without spirituality, we can see it, yes? And so therefore, Shantideva in here particularly, of course, he didn't mention about poison. That's something I mentioned, of course. In order to talk about the other, derivatives or the branches of other disturbing emotions. And so, therefore, I had to talk about the three poisons. And so, in this case, it's not necessarily a poison. Shortcut is to say, but of course, it's not really to the point. which is a common sense in natural society, and to say moderation. Yes, know the limits, know the boundaries. Yes, but that still doesn't really take care of it, because if you want to be, if you really want to know the truth, then we must, not to say face head on, but zoom in, zoom in a little bit, and then we will see far more intricate patterns, unbelievable ones. And since these are mental events, we cannot use a physical magnifying glass. We have to use wisdom, or basically in that zooming aspect, which is very close with, which is hand in hand, or which is in union with what we are practicing, or what we are studying, meditation. And through that, we will be able to see that poison, yes, from another angle, but not necessarily poison. We just need to break it down. We are not saying we cannot be close, we cannot magnify. Yet at the same time, how to say, the meaning, probably if I'm correct, this question is coming because, as I said a few times today, misguided compassion, or kindness, yes? Because kindness, or that aspect where I wish the best for you, I saw a beautiful sight today. I smelled the best coffee beans, It's meaningless, of course, but nevertheless, when I smelled it, I thought of you. I wish you could have smelled, I wish you could have been here. And today I experienced something really horrifying, and I wish, and I feel happy that you didn't have to go through what I went through, Like that, karuna, maitri, kindness, loving kindness, and compassion. Compassion is not really the right word, actually. But one is the aspect of mind where I wish the best for you, and the other is the aspect where I don't wish pain for you. I wish sweetness for you, I wish sukha for you, and I don't wish pain or dukkha for you. That's it. Yeah. So in that way, now that could be real love. That's there. That kind of ability is always there. What we popularly say, in all of us. We don't know where this inside is, of course, but nevertheless. And so therefore, we're not stripping away of that. So in that way, we don't have to worry and be alarmed at all. But what gets misinterpreted, in terms of those two qualities, and that to a point where I feel I can own you. You are mine. Are you mine? Please be mine. Vow it, curse it, write it down, put a signature, Let's go to the court, Just so that, or, I don't know, write it on the moon, staple the Himalaya for me, Now that's going too far, It just cannot be done. And even if you can do it, we are all nothing but pattern, yeah. I like that part from the movie Gladiator. That late actor, Oliver Reed, yes. His character, I forget his name now, which I shouldn't be. But he says, well, nothing but shadows and dust, Maximus. Shadows and dust, you know. Yes, he died. After how many pints, I don't know. And so therefore, yes, one of amazing actors, yes, or character. First one, not the second one. The second one, tui tui. So, see, and so therefore we are all nothing but pattern, Maximus. So, if you can see that, then my or our originality is never lost, yeah. And it can never be destroyed, yeah. Not by any chatter, rumors, instigation, or anything. Yeah. Well, that quality is what we would emotionally like to call it eternal. Yes. Not because it's fixated, you know, but you can go anywhere, you know, and you will find that face everywhere. Yeah. Sometimes in the face of a stranger, you know. And so therefore we never feel foreign, alone, you know, and that we feel that I am exactly where I'm supposed to be. Yes. So in that sense, yeah, we don't have to feel emotional that it's a poison, you know. Yeah. Yeah. So then I think we might have to power through the Genetic meditation, provided that we have good bladder. Sorry? Empty bottles. I wish you had full bottles, you know. Actually, I wanted to say before any session, don't hydrate yourselves, you know. Till the end. Yeah? Se noi gun lai cha
shen men bon dang den den dan chen ben gom jen lai nian gui shen bai men brai chen ge lo men gun gom jen go song bai xin men a jen be la ma la jen do so wan den ben gom jen la jen men gun ge wan jen je lo Him Goim Jung Je Som Ba Jin Kan Shan Doim Ben Som Man De Man Jun Den Garai Jung Ben Goim Jen Lam Gom je lo da chen ge lo nam do un chen go son ba xin che ya ma yin che ya chara wa lai ma ga ro ba cha wen gom jen lai kron de yer men dong brai jen je lo je wai kun do yan dai lai ma dang Tan men chen ge ba lai loin je jing sa dai loim ge yen da roim zo nim droin je go bai nyun do sho san je chen dai Sun Jin Chun Nam Lai Chan Chun Paran Do Dan Nian Chab Sui Chi Da Yin Gom Den Je Be Su Nam Gien Do La Pen Je San Jin Do Brai Shui San Jin Chun Dan Sun Jin Chun Nam Lai Chan Chun Paran Do Dan Nian Chab Sui Chi Da Yin Gom Den Jin Be Su Nam Ji Do Lai Ben Je San Jin Do Brai Shui San Jin Chon Nam Lai Chan Chun Paran Do Dan Nian Chab Sui Chi Da Yin Gom Den Jin Be Su Nam Gi Do La San Jin Do Brai Shui Da Su Ka Chai Sim Jin Gi Chin Zu Ben Kara Da Wen Ding Bo Ju